I think I know what I'm going to carve today. Hey everybody, it's Steve. I've got a really fun carving for you today. This one, it might even be the world's cutest wood carving. We are going to make this little guy. Okay, let's get started on Pup-In-Cup. And just to let you know where I came up with this idea is my wife had a flower arrangement, and in there was this little ceramic puppy in a cup. So that'd be kind of fun to carve. So I did, and just kind of copied that, and we made this little guy out of basswood. That's what I want to share with you today. I also went ahead and made a few more different types of puppies. We got a German Shepherd over here, Husky, a Dachshund, and another Husky. So let's get started. Doing this today out of a 1.5 by 1.5 by 2 3/8 piece of basswood. And if you want that in metric, it's about 38 millimeters by 38 millimeters by 60 millimeters. We are going to use a tool that I have been using once in a while, and it's actually quite helpful in carving, I believe. Now, this is a circle template that I have had for well over 30 years. I think it's pretty important to start this, because we're making a nice round cup, to start with a good circle. Now I do have this brand is still around, and I'll have a link in the description if you don't have a good circle template and you'd like to add one for your carving or other projects. Good thing to have around. I'll include that link down in the description. And what we're going to do is we want to save enough wood for the handle. We're going to decide what's the top, what's the bottom. We'll use this as the bottom. And we're going to start with an 1.25 inch circle. And we're going to put it down in one corner of this block. Like that. Try to hold this here so you can see it. And just make an 1.25 inch circle down in the block, and then that will allow us to have the handle off to the side. And then we're going to draw another circle. We're going to use a 1-inch circle, and get it turned around here so we can see it, and just eyeball center that 1-inch circle inside the 1.25 inch circle. Now this template does have these little tick marks here, makes it pretty nice for centering things up. So we have a 1-inch circle inside of an 1.25 inch circle. Then the next measurement we're going to do is we're going to come up 7/8 of an inch. Okay, so this is going to be our handle over here. Just marking this so we don't lose track of what's what. Okay, you can put the handle on either side. I like to have the handle over here on the right. And then this line will be the top of the cup. That means we want to make sure we leave a little bit of wood right in the center sticking out here so that we can have his little paws up over the edge of the cup. So this will be the front. Let's just mark a little rectangle here. Okay, we want to save that. Okay, so let's get our thumb guard on, our cut resistant glove. Okay, now that we have our basic measurements put on here, we've got our knife in hand and our safety gear on, let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to round the edges. We have the corner with the handle and the corner with the paws. I'll have to do something a little different there. But let's start with these other two. And we're going to knock these corners off all the way down to this outer circle that we put on the bottom. We'll just grab the corner and start pulling pieces off. And kind of go on the corners of the corner. edges of the edges. And just kind of work that around. Bring that to that outside circle. And we'll flip it around and do the same thing. Okay, then we see how we're following that outside circle. On the corner with the handle, we can take a little bit off, because we're not going to have a pointy edge on our handle. We'll take a little bit off all the way down. About like that. And then we'll go above this cup line. So remember this line coming around here, that was at 7/8 of an inch. That's the top of our cup. We can make a stop cut right there. And above that, we can also round it. You might want to leave a little bit extra right here for his ear that kind of sticks out. And then on the front, we're going to do a stop cut on the bottom of this rectangle that we kind of marked out for his paws. And we'll round that down too. Push that up to that stop cut. Keep pushing it back. Again, we're just working this down to that initial circle, the 1.25" circle. Because the way I see it, you can't make a pup in a cup if you don't have a cup. So we're making the cup first. Okay, now you kind of see we've got this rounded all the way around here for the most part. Now, where our handle is going to be, I come in and do a stop cut perpendicular to the edge of the cup. Bring that in a ways, and we'll do a cut this way. Repeat those cuts. Now we don't have to get the whole thing at once. We'll come up here and get a little bite of it. Then we come down and get another bite. And that way it's a little less dangerous for breaking the whole thing off. Work that down to the same circle. Okay, we got a little more to go here. You can cut that over. You have that nice and rounded down to our 1.25" inch circle. Looking good. Okay, this area here we need to work in that way. So again, we're going to go parallel with this side of the handle. It's easy to get off and have kind of a wonky looking handle. We want to try to keep this parallel to this side as much as we can. This side could come in a little bit more on the bottom. And hold that. This. You can get it lined up nice and parallel. And don't try to go in all at once here. We'll mark the top just so we can cut it out and take a little bite over to it. And just repeat that process, working that back in there. Okay, now you can see we have the outer diameter of our cup is made. And our handle is squared off. Okay, the next thing I like to do is come up, I don't know, maybe 1/3 of the way up the cup. And I'll bring that down at an angle to our inner circle here. And that's just kind of putting the bottom curve on our cup. Now when you get to the handle, that needs to curve down to that same point. So we can bring that off. Kind of curve that down to the same inner circle. Now the next thing we can do is we want to bring in, we'll go back over the top of where the cup is, just define that line again. So we're going to start here by the handle where we didn't carve away our marks already and just kind of make a stop cut and just work that all the way around the cup. Okay, now that we have our stop cut around, we'll come in from the top side. Let's do these angled cuts down to it. And we just repeat that process going around a couple times. We want this to be a good, at least 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16. So we have the top lip of the cup exposed. In here above the handle, it's a little, it didn't get cut back to that original circle. So we kind of scoop that in. Okay. Let's take a look at what we got to do to start making the dog on here. First of all, we'll come in here with this reserved spot for his paws and just flatten that out a little bit back here. Okay. I'm going to round those edges a little bit just because it's easier to draw if you don't have just a sharp corner here. So I'm just going to hold it like this. Try to. And we'll just do a little sketching. These are just rough outlines to get the general shape. Okay. And we'll have his head curve just to the top of the wood. And just when it starts to come down on the side of the head, we're going to come out and go out like that for the ear. Same on this side. And then I want to, that'll be a good place to start for the front view. All this needs to come out. And all this needs to get removed up here and here. All right, so let's take some of that wood off. Now just work on bringing this up and getting a nice round top on the head. A little bit of knife chatter, trying to turn too short. One trick that can kind of help with that is if you need to scoop something out like this, if you're using the back part of your blade, that will be more likely to happen. If you use the front where there's less blade to turn around, that kind of works better. And you can just go across with it, just with the tip. And then you don't have that chattering. Just trying to get this even on both sides here. And you can see I don't have it even. We got to take this side back further. Okay, it's pretty good. We don't want to go back any further than that. And now from that point, we can round this top of the head here. I'll do that just by going after these corners. This ridge that you see here. Just keep working that back till it's gone. Get rid of all the cut marks. Get rid of all the saw marks is what I meant to say. And we'll go kind of blend that in. Looking pretty good. Okay, now we need to remove the material that's under the ears and bringing that back to the side of the body. So we'll start making some V-cuts there. Handle's kind of in the way on the cup, so we'll flip it around. We're kind of cutting at an angle to go up underneath that ear. We'll also start working in this gap under his snout and above the paws. So we can just start making some V-cuts there. Again, we're just trying to get the rough out, trying to get the general shape here. Okay, now we'll start working on coming in underneath this ear. So I was thinking about when I was going to start this video, I wasn't sure if I was going to go through the extra steps and extra time it takes to put the progress inset or inlay on the screen here. So like I've done in previous videos, to show, different stages a little up close and have it spinning around on the turntable and stuff. You guys let me know in the comments if that's something you liked seeing in my other videos, if that's helpful, what allows you to see more of it. Most of the time I'm holding the piece in my hand, and you might not get to see everything that's going on there. So I don't know, just let me know if that's something you'd like me to include in my future videos. I can certainly do that. I just still kind of feel like I'm trying to catch up from when I had my other non-carving projects that kept me so busy for a while. I wanted to get some of these videos out, but yeah, just let me know. That was a good example right there why you need these cut resistant gloves. Did you see that? It slipped out of my finger, and that knife blade went right there on that index finger. It did not cut that glove, but I can still feel it, where it hit my finger under there. It hit hard enough where I can still feel it on my finger, but it kept me from slicing the end of my finger off. Highly, highly recommend gloves, and these are pretty good ones. If you don't have one, or if your glove is getting a little worn, we do have those on our website. I'll leave a link below for the gloves as well. Definitely recommend you wear gloves. These have enough of a, they aren't the rubberized ones that are grippy, super grippy, but they're rough enough that it's not terrible to try to hold on to things, and they're way more flexible than the ones with the coating on them. We'll work at it up from the back here. Let's do a stop cut in here and take that piece out. Now we're going to angle this cut up underneath there. And we can kind of round this over, tie those together, curve this at the bottom. And round these shoulders down a little bit. I'm going to cut the back in here a little bit so we can have those legs popping out. Okay, we need to, first thing I see that we need to do, we've got quite a bit of work to do here on this ear. And then on the back side, this will start cutting back in. So let's take out some of that back here, angle it, and see how it's angled forward. So we'll put our knife in at an angle like this. Push it in there. And we'll come over here, just make kind of a big triangle cut. Go a few We'll try to get it all at once here. And again, turn it this way so we can get up underneath there. Nice deep cuts. Clean that out. Set here, we're going to want to bring this back in here so the ear sticks out away from the back of the head. Okay, now let's go in front of the ear. Take that back. I'll just kind of take the harsh edge and the pencil lines off the front of this ear. I'm liking that. Okay, now let's focus on the other ear a little bit. This one, before we do, let's take this, see how we have this is still kind of curved out, and it's a little bit too much. We want the outside edge of this to be kind of flat and maybe even curved the other way. So we'll take some scoop cuts out of there, kind of down towards the bottom of the ear, scoop up towards the top. There we go. We need to remove some here so this ear sticks out a little bit more. You need to kind of have this angled like this. And then down here come back out. So we need to remove that chunk in there. We're not going to go super deep because I don't want to break that ear off by pushing in the knife too far. Starting to take shape there. Get rid of our pencil line. Just kind of remove underneath the chin here. Using just the tip of our knife, we'll go in there. These tight areas, we'll cut in and just curve up. Little bites at a time. And then do the same coming down. Now this one is maybe pulled back just a little bit more. Okay, so push this in there and angle it back behind on the back. Okay, let's keep going on this ear and we'll clean that up later. Now on the front, you can see the snout here, and it just kind of, we want this end comes down here, but then like right here, it kind of meets the side of his head. And we want that to round up to here. And then we have a line across here where we have his eyebrows. Okay? So we can take out a little bit more in front of the ear. Yeah, a little scooping cut right on top of the ear so that it has the ear standing out from the side of the head. We'll get rid of our pencil line and the sharp edge there. And we'll clean this up back here behind the ear. I want to undercut this a little bit back here. So we'll come in here, carefully make a V cut under the ear. We don't want to push in there too deep because that thickness of the knife blade will put a lot of pressure sideways and you can break pieces off. So we're carefully making cuts up in there. And we got a little more to clean up here. Behind the ear. And I'm going to take my knife and run it this way, back in here. Try to get a little bit of a space between the ear and the head. Just trying to assess it here, see what I need. One thing that we have to do anyway, and it would kind of help us out right now, is I'm going to take the inside top of the handle, angle it down to the edge of the cup. So you got to be careful here you don't split the whole handle off. But we want to mark that and just make a V cut. And slice some of that down in there. Just come from both directions a little bit at a time until you meet there and pop that out. Okay, we can even kind of come in and angle the edges to help us with that look. And we'll take the tip of the handle off here. That's a sharp corner. And we can carefully take the sharp corners off the handle all the way around. And we can do more of that after we get the hole in the handle. But just to kind of focus on something a little different. As you know, or may not, I like to move around on a carving a little bit. If I work on one area too long, I can sometimes get a little frustrated with it or try to rush through something that I shouldn't be rushing through. So it helps to hop around a little bit, in my opinion. My handle's plenty thick. We might slim that up a little bit yet. Okay, let's get back to the dog here. We need to bring this down or in a little closer here. And then kind of smooth it up side of the head. I think this ear over here is a little bit longer than the other one. Can maybe take a little bit off of that. Okay, we're getting pretty close. Need to take a little bit out here up towards the head. These areas are kind of difficult to get to. This carving is a little challenging at times just because of the limited access to some of these areas. Okay, we can bring the top of the paws back a little bit here and round them back. Will help a little bit with cleaning this up in here because it'll give it a little more room. Just taking a little bit off of the front here so that we can divide these and not have them peaked in the center. Kind of tedious cleaning out in here. Again, this is one of those areas where, and I may do it yet, is if you grab a small gouge, probably help clean that out. Okay, I think we're gonna clean this out here. Okay. I think we're at the point now where we need to we can work a little more on the feet, or we need to work on the face. Okay, let's take a look at the face here. You see this, the head on this one is quite a bit bigger yet. We need to flatten out the front and push back the top of the snout a little bit. Okay, we need to flatten this out a little bit. Okay, and then we'll push the top of the snout back. Just kind of generally shaping. I need to take a little bit more out here. Now, one thing I've noticed with these, and just in general, I guess, with carving, if you have a reference, whether it's photo or an actual 3D object, that can make a big difference on the result of your carving. Just helps with the proportions. It helps you maybe pick out the little subtle shapes that you maybe don't think about and you're just trying to go off of memory. I'm going to slim this up back here. We're not in from the edge of the cup very far. I'm going to take a minute here and clean up the desk again, and then we'll come back. Okay, I was just, after I cleaned up my desk, I was studying this a little bit, and one thing I want to do is I want to, we'll sketch it in here so I can show you. We want the paws just kind of sticking over the top, not really hanging down on this one. So I'm going to, from here in the center of it, we'll divide it a little bit. And then we'll take some off the bottom here, just rounding them a little bit. And we'll probably round the top over a little bit too. So come in here, follow that line around just to define it. Oops. Cut into the side here where I didn't want to. Okay, and then we'll just start removing that material. This is one area where I've kind of struggled on these is I end up cutting too deep here and leaving cut marks, so it's less than desirable. I'm going to clean that up. Kind of reshape the cup in this area. Some little V cuts here. Again, I'm trying to be real careful not to go too deep with these and end up with cut marks in the face of the cup. And we can just cut up underneath these just a little bit. And then we need to separate them going across the top. I'm just taking tiny little slices off of here to fine tune my paw shape. These are the kind of things that end up spending a lot of time messing with. And it's also, to me anyway, one of the more enjoyable parts of carving is doing this kind of messing around, little tiny cuts here and there, making little adjustments. Looking pretty good. We'll probably mess with it a little bit more, but for now, let's let's move on to our snout here. I think this is too tall. I think we want to take a little bit off of the top and have that that'll give us a little more room to have the eyes and stuff. So I think we want to end up with something like this. And then we'll have the nose in here. And from the side of the nose, we'll curve down. Like that. Yeah, that looks about right. We need to take the top of this back. So let's work on that. And again, we'll just do some push cuts back to here, but we don't want to go too deep and mark up the front of this where we want to put our eyes. So we'll just try to do that in as controlled way as we can. Oops. That looks a little better. A little more in the right proportions. Okay. Now we got to flatten this out. Well, we need to take some of this off of here, off the front. Not a lot, though. And let's go ahead and round the top edge here back a little bit. I think we need to round this a little bit more here. It's too much, too harsh of a transition. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Just kind of looking at this here. It looks like we need to take a little more out over here. We'll come in from the top down. Need to clean this up in here. They got a cut mark we don't want. Pretty deep in there where we don't want it. Like I mentioned before, there's some some of these spots in here under the ears, above the handle. Challenge to get in there with the knife. Just doing a little general shaping, cleaning up. I think I want to round the back of the head a little bit more, like slope it up here. Got a little pinhole, wormhole looking thing in the wood there. Come up this way. Let's get rid of this little ridge. Okay, I think I want to kind of liken where we're at here on the dog. We need to get the eyes in there and the details out here on the snout. I might undercut this paw a little bit more. Maybe not. Maybe, yeah, maybe just a little bit. And we need to, there's a hump right here on the cup. Couple things. Looks like we cut in a little too deep right here, but also we probably didn't remove them enough here when we had that kind of reserved for the feet. So just kind of correct that. Take this hump down that's out here. Help clean up some of our cut marks we don't want there too. Okay, let's cut in some details on the muzzle here. Now, got kind of this hair, fur hanging down beside here. So we want to make stop cuts for those. And that'll come up underneath the nose as well. And we're going to want to round the bottom here a little bit. So kind of cut it up. Cut up in these little corners. And then we're going to want to make a line across here where his mouth comes together. And then we'll cut back beside the nose a little bit too. But first, let's cut these in. We'll just make a cut all the way back like that. Try to sneak in here above the feet. Do the same thing. And we just got a little chip down there to try to clean out. Okay. Then we'll do the same thing on this side. Liking that. Get rid of our pencil marks here. We can kind of round this over too. Come up beside the nose. And we'll make just a little bit of a line at the top of the nose just to maybe help with when we're painting. It's looking pretty good. Now let's cut this little line in here where the mouth is. Just angle it up a little bit, come across. And angle it down and come across. And maybe tuck it back in a little deeper on the sides. I'm going to tuck it back in on this side. And get rid of our pencil lines over here. I want to round the bottom of the chin a little bit more. And we got some pencil lines there too. Clean those up anyway. I think we want to try to get, this is going to be kind of hard to do, but we're going to try to cut a little bit more out here to bring the feet out a little bit more. And I'm just kind of poking the knife along, make little stop cuts up in there. and then we'll try to wedge it in, the knife in from the side. It's kind of another little trick for tight areas. Looks better. I probably will use a small gouge just to come in there and clean that up underneath the chin. It's just pretty difficult to get in there with a knife. Okay, we're getting close. Gotta do the eyes yet, and the handle needs a hole in it for the cup. Let's I'm just going around all these little things I see. Can make for a boring video, I suppose, to watch me just go around and make these tiny little chips here and there. But the reality of it is, at least in my opinion anyway, is that that's the difference between having a decent carving and a really good carving, is taking the time, keep going over it and over it and over it, making these tiny little adjustments here and there. Just keep looking at it. Cleaning things up, like this little tag under the ear here. We'll get up in here and clean this up a little better somehow. But I won't bore you with all of that stuff on the video. But it is a reality that happens. Been thinking lately too. I've never really been very interested in selling any of my carvings. I've given away most of them. But just thinking lately, I should do that. Maybe share it with some other people that way, and so I've decided to open up a little shop on Etsy, and I'm not going to put all of my carvings there, but once in a while, like if I've done multiples of things to just prepare for videos and stuff like that, I'll probably throw some of the extras on there. Maybe this guy will show up there. You never know. But if you're interested in that and want to check it out, the store on Etsy is it's hard to come up with a name for a store on Etsy anymore that isn't already taken. What I was able to use is kind of the tagline for our business. Our logo is, our business is called Hunter's Creations, and then our little tagline to that is that we're ambitiously creative. So that's the name of my Etsy store, is Ambitiously Creative. If you're interested in like one of my carvings, I said I'm not going to guarantee I'll always have a bunch of them there, but you can check from time to time and maybe you'll find one there. It gets to a point your shelves get full and you've already given away quite a few to people and just might as well sell them, get a little something for doing it and just sharing it with other people. We'll try it for a while anyway. Okay, I'm just kind of carefully, very carefully, just using the tip of my knife, making a series of cuts in here to get through. Okay, now we'll come over to the other side and make a stop cut around here. Now we don't know exactly what we did on the other side, but we got a pretty good idea. Pivot the knife so our stop cuts are nice and straight in the corners. And just kind of very carefully, this would be super easy to break these handles off. I mean, the wood grain going this way, it wouldn't take much just to pop that whole handle off. Now, out of all these that I've made so far, should knock on wood, haven't broke one. You know, I probably shouldn't have said that. Just making these V cuts here, little triangle cuts, kind of like you would see chip carvers do. It's what I do in these tight areas. Just make little triangle chips. Now I do think this handle's a little too thick yet, so we're gonna shave just a little bit off of it. Maybe even just a tiny bit more. And around that edge back again like we had it. Okay, we'll continue on trying to get through there. Carefully. Very carefully. Trying to do this in a way that when you have to push to make your knife cut, I'm trying to always push towards the main part of the cup and not the weak part of the handle. Looks like we can come up a little higher over here. Got to be getting close to making it through there. Aha! We got through. Kind of a tedious, little delicate part of carving. Now you could, we started with an 1.5-inch block. You could, if you don't like working on stuff that's this small, of course, just upsize a little bit. Use a 2x2 or 3x3. Just make a bigger pup in a bigger cup. I chose this size just because it matched what I had for my pattern or for my reference. Kind of around the inside edges here. Trying to clean way up in there. Okay, I think we'll quit messing with that for a little bit. Eyes. Need to make some eyes. And these are just kind of round, big, wide open eyeballs. Bring them right down on the snout. There, and then we'll get those cut in, and then we'll just shape some eyebrows around it. And the only thing we have left after that, we have a few steps, I guess. We want to dish out the top edge of the cup and put some texture on for the fur. We're not there yet. Okay. Now, just using the tip of your knife, just trace around those circles you drew, angling out a little bit. And don't try to cut too deep and push it in there too hard, because one of two things are going to happen when you do that. You're either going to break the tip of your knife, or you're going to start tearing and splitting the wood around the eye, and then it's going to be real hard to get nice clean edges. And they don't have to be cut in there super deep anyway. Then we're going to go around it, angling out, and just kind of work our way around, rounding that circle, rounding it back into the head. I have to mess with it a little bit, get those chips to come out, and then we'll come back from the outside and go around there and just clean that up. Take the hard edge off of the circle and get rid of the pencil line. Nice and clean as you can get it. Will help with painting. So one thing I really appreciate about these Badger State Blades knives is how they round down pretty aggressively and have a nice sharp point on the end. Okay, now again, we'll just take the hard edge off the circle while we get rid of our pencil lines. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is kind of put some eyebrows on this dog. We're going to do that. We're going to draw them in here. Like that, and then we're just going to start on that line and do little scooping cuts away from it. And then on the top side of there, where we kind of created a ridge, we'll come back and blend that in. We'll come in here in the center and clean that out a little bit better. And then we got this ridge here. We'll round that back. Need to bring this down over here so the eyebrows just kind of stand out above the eye and not wrap all the way around. Maybe a little bit of that over here as well. You know, you try to copy these, but every one ends up looking just a little bit different. I think we're looking pretty good here. Okay, up to this point, we've just been using the one knife and we're pretty much there. We could thin the back of this ear a little bit. But the next thing I want to do is cut in the top of the cup so it's actually down in there. I'm going to use this tiny little number 11 gouge, and while I have it, I'll go around and just clean a few of these areas that are so hard to get with the knife. Just come in here and clean up some of this stuff. Okay, maybe inside the handle a little bit. Tiny little veiner like this, number 11 gouge. Pretty handy for cleaning up these little areas, tight spots. Okay, now we're going to go along and try to cut in a groove inside the cup here. It's pretty tight on the back. We might have to just use a knife back there. Just like to get down in there a little bit so that you can see that it's a cup and it has a lip. And then on the back here, there just isn't enough. We're just going to kind of go around where the dog meets the cup, and we're going to make a stop cut there, angle it back in there a little bit, not real hard. And then we'll come back, do it again, out a little ways. Kind of hard to clean these out in there. Take a little more off the back of the dog so there's a little more room down there. Okay. I don't think there's really any reason to go any deeper than that. Like I said, it's just to kind of indicate that it is a cup. And I guess if you put a dog in a cup, that cup's probably going to be pretty full. Okay, I'm going to clean up the desk. We'll come back and put some texture on there for some hair. And then we're about done. GoPro stopped recording. Okay, the final step on this Pup-In-A-Cup. We're just going to use a V tool and go along and create some texture for the fur, for the hair. I like to go in somewhat random directions, depths and lengths. It's kind of prying against my hand here. A little bit harder across the end grain on the top. Don't forget your ears. It's like rubbing that a little bit with my glove hand. It kind of knocks all these little slivers off. Most of them anyway. And just keep doing this till you get her all covered. I'll just go around and get rid of the little hang-ons here. Oh, we didn't get the feet yet. Feet have hair on them too, you know. Okay. I think we did all right, guys. Want to round that nose just a little bit more. Give it a little bit more shape. And then if we can, we're going to put two little nostrils in there. Not much room to work with. Is making super tiny little triangle cuts. And there we go. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of this Terra Nova Nature Oil and cover our Pup-In-A-Cup with it. And we'll let that sit a while, and then I'll do some painting. Oops. Just a good healthy coat on there. Make sure it's all covered, soaked up. Kind of helps with the paint going on evenly. And it seals up the wood a little bit. I like to rub that in a little bit with my hands. Well, there you have it, guys. That's my version of the little Pup-In-A-Cup. Pretty fun to carve. Let me know what you think in the comments. Think that's something you'd like to try or not. And thanks for watching.